Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the Career Connecting Forum. And I'm so glad you all are back again. To start this session, we're going to change gear a little bit. Moving on from all the recruitment and hiring that we spoke about in the last 2 days, we're going to change gear to talk a bit about the hot topic that's in the market at the moment. Everyone talks about it. What is it? AI. We will have Jericho Mendoza talking about Career Spotlight, what it takes to be AI ready. That's from his personal experience. I would like to spotlight now Jericho to this session. Maybe before we even start the session, I want to mention that there was an article on LinkedIn that I saw recently. There is a figures that shows that 94% of CEO say that AI skills are their number one priority. And yet 90% of companies say they simply cannot find the talent. So that is a staggering statistics that we are seeing, and this is a LinkedIn post which we can share as well. And the LinkedIn post also talk about the emerging AI roles that are in the market or in the future. And it tells us a lot about AI fear that people are fearing out there. People are worrying about whether AI is going to replace a job. And the reality is there is a huge hunger for people who want to know and how to use it. So it is a perfect moment for us to rethink our careers and consider what is next for AI. And to help us do that, we're very, very thrilled to introduce our guest today. He's not only an AI enthusiast, have been living and breathing the space on AI, and he's also working on AI in his day-to-day job. So he's here to share his own AI journey and help us navigate these emerging roles. Well, please welcome Jericho Mendoza, which is on the screen right now. Okay, so I will be similar to some of the sessions that we had. I'll be asking Jericho some questions, but if you have any questions in the chat, please put them in the Q&A tab, upvote them, and we'll allocate questions at the end. All right, Jericho, to make a start, thank you for joining us today. Before we dive into the topic of AI, to get us started, would you like to introduce yourself and then about your career journey and also what you enjoy doing outside of work?
Sure, absolutely. And thanks for having me as well, by the way. Hi, I'm Jericho Mendoza. I'm a business analyst by trade. I've been working in products for the past 8 years now, but in the past 1 year and a bit, my role has shifted heavily into the medium of AI. Now, I didn't set out to be an AI person. AI moved into my job, and I had to figure out exactly how to tackle it, how to tackle this vast change in the way the world works, the way the corporate world works, the way the tech world works. And I can say for certain, AI is going to be a huge shift in the coming years. What we've accomplished in the last year being in the AI product team probably would have taken majority of my career to accomplish before AI. So whilst 8 of my years have been done participating in traditional product life cycles, the past year has really eclipsed just how much can be achieved with AI. Now, I do want to preface this by saying I am not an AI bro, and you'll come across a lot of different types of AI bros. When I say AI bro, I mean people that are 100% live and die AI. Now, I am an AI enthusiast, and I just want to flag that I'm also a big fan of humanity. So I'm on that side as well. Now, what I enjoy doing outside of work, I was also a dance teacher and choreographer for about 7 years. And I think that plays a big part in how we've tackled AI, because hobbies and our life outside of work really rounds us out and makes us a bit more, less single dimensioned.
All right, no, thank you for that introduction. So from what you have observed and probably a bit from your journey, what kind of roles or skills are becoming more important as the AI evolves?
Yeah. So AI essentially has democratized hard skills. What do I mean by that is AI has essentially made all the difficult execution accessible to many different lines of work. For example, a BA can prototype, a designer can query data, and an engineer can write business cases. The barrier that defined who got invited to the table just broke. So AI allows generalists to really shine, because generalists see the whole picture and use AI to amplify each facet. A little further in design, a little further in data, a little further in communication, the connective tissues between the different functions. Now, in terms of roles and skills, I did touch on generalists, but I do want to mention specialists as well. Specialists with deep enough domain knowledge to know when AI is confidently wrong become very, very valuable. You don't have to be fully into all the tokens and whatnot to be useful in an AI setting. Specialists in your domain are very, very useful because AI can confidently be wrong. It's probabilistic in its nature. So it always will output something plausible. So you need your specialists to be able to actually, fact check it. The ones struggling in terms of these roles and skills that are evolving are the generalists that are broad but shallow. What I mean by that is they may know about BAs, but majority of their time is spent writing tickets rather than thinking about what the ticket solves or thinking about the problem statements and how it actually gets solved with the use of AI. And most of you have been building judgment for years. I'm assuming we have a lot of mid-career professionals here or senior professionals, even early career professionals. I would like you to try and hone in on the skill of judgment and taste, because with the technical aspects and the hard skills being democratized, judgment, taste, strategy, the things that make you human, the things that make you a strong player in your team become very important in this day and age.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there. Especially with the skills and all the roles. So when we talk about the roles, based on your personal journey or where you have been through, what are those hidden AI roles that you see emerging in 2026 or probably beyond? Those that probably didn't exist 2 years ago and are just for the engineers, for example, like AI. We heard about AI ethics, governance, or prompt architecture. Yeah, could you share a bit about that?
Yep. One thing I want to preface with is AI is currently in its crypto era. Like, everyone is hyped about AI. The 99% of the LinkedIn articles that you see written by AI posted are clogging your feed. So try to ignore the noise of AI product manager or AI analyst, because a lot of people are just trying to jump on the hype right now and cash in where it works. So I don't mean to be dismissive of anyone trying to be, continuing along the AI course, but look for me to an example. I'm a business analyst. My title is just a business analyst, but I would say about 60% of my job is building with AI. So the hidden AI roles will be exactly that, actually hidden. It won't be, here's an AI role, apply for it. Now, it might be, and if you find a role like that, I'd say go for it, but be very critical and be very skeptical of what you're getting yourself into. Make sure the employer is actually trying to, mindfully use AI in their organization. Now, in terms of hidden roles, there's quite a few that probably don't have titles right now. That's I encompass in my role. So there are people that build agents. So that's something I do in my current work. When I say agents, I mean like an AI instance that can perform roles. There are people that decide what not to use AI for. That's very important, and it's probably not a role right now. Maybe the product managers or the heads of automation would answer that, but there is a role there, I think, for people to decide what not to use AI for. For someone who understands what's deterministic and requires traditional RPA or traditional automation, or for someone who can see this needs a bit of probabilistic behavior and it needs summarization and needs a bit of human emulated thought process. That's where AI is good for. And then there's also orchestrators. So these are like your process and workflow experts, the people that understand a holistic view of a system, how it goes from start to end, how it triggers, how it ends, what happens at each gate, at each node. Those process and workflow experts become critical for AI orchestration, because AI as a standalone can execute individual tasks, but someone has to hold the architecture and the end-to-end flow when companies start to begin to agentify their processes. And I think roles that have people who can think strategically and execute, that will be a thing. There's not really many roles like that right now. In Palantir, there's a forward deployed engineer. What that means is just it's an engineer that encompasses the AI product manager and business analyst role all into one person. Usually you're either one or the other. You're either strategic and analytical, or you're an absolute weapon at execution. Being both is exceptionally rare. And since AI is absorbing the execution layer, if you have that strategic lens and you also have that ability to understand how to execute, that'll be a very useful skill and will definitely be in a role. Like I mentioned, most people generally one or the other. If you're both, that combination is something you really need to lean into. But yeah, basically try to avoid the hype. Look at the job descriptions and exactly what they're accomplishing in their AI. Everyone's scrambling right now. Everyone's got AI FOMO. Take it upon yourself rather than following the trends in the corporate landscape. Take it upon yourself to actually grow mindfully in terms of your AI journey.
Yeah. Okay, cool. It's great to know. I think people for those who have a career journey whether it's strategic or being detailed. Like, take the advice from Jericho about how you can tap onto this. So for your own career journey, what have you noticed about just the way how you work now that AI, because you said that your main role is to work on AI, just in terms of like team collaboration or problem solving or making decisions, how does that change your day to day?
Well, firstly, like I mentioned in my introduction, what we've accomplished in 1 year probably would have had to taken, like my entire career to accomplish. So the past year I've gone through a lot of growth, so I understand exactly just how much the AI has impacted our current teams and our current organization. And I'm blessed to be a part of a current organization that's very AI forward. And we've spent a lot of effort, and my department and my team, the AI product team, has spent a lot of effort to actually enable AI and make sure every single person at the organization is AI native. Now, that's not to say that people are still overarchingly accepting of it. And now I have to preface this by saying I only represent myself. I do not represent my organization. But I want to, shine a light on how AI can really help teams. What I've noticed with the way teams collaborate in the age of AI is the lines are blurred between job descriptions. If you're the type to say, that's not my job, I'll let someone else handle it, then you will suffer. BAs are designing things now. I'm prototyping and building agents. I'm like making things end to end. PMs are prototyping. PMs are like building things on Claude Code. Engineers are writing like specs for spec-driven development. The lanes are widening, and whether or not you can, quiet that ego that says I'm the one that should be handling this and actually work together with your team, I think that's a big thing. But one more thing is that because everything moves so fast, we're delivering so many things at scale, I'd like to think of AI as an amplifier. So it will amplify all the great things that your team has, or your great designers, or your great engineers, or your great BA's product, and how they work cross-functionally. In saying that, amplifying speed is all great, but going fast doesn't matter if you're going fast in the wrong direction. Now, with teams becoming really cross-functional, it becomes important to be really close strategically with your teams, and so that you all understand the vision each sprint. It's not even in sprints anymore, like, because some products like get shipped within like a few days. There's like micro sprints these days. But basically, the people thriving in teams and in the collaboration of teams are the people that are curious about any and every problem, not only for their own department or for their own specialty, but curious about the problem holistically, curious about it from a design lens, no matter if you're a designer or not, engineer lens, no matter if you're engineer or not, BA lens, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just be curious and try not to let your ego say, you shouldn't be looking into that, that's my job. But I do want to give a balanced take as well. What you are good at in your function is also your moat. That is your subject matter expertise. All the things that aren't admin, or the things that rely more on judgment, really lean into that. So then when you work together as a team, even though everyone's cross-functional, you become this powerhouse of a team for collaboration.
Yeah, I think when you're describing that, the word popped in my mind is being adaptable. So I think that's one of the key skills that we also talk about a lot in the previous organization, about being adaptable, because things are changing, and then you no longer want to just grab onto the skills that you have, but you might want to tap onto the new skills that you need to learn. Okay, and there's still so much talk about like AI replacing jobs, and just now we mentioned about some of the figures that we mentioned, the percentages. Based on what you have seen, what is one of the major misconceptions about this, and that you like to debunk?
I'd like to share something in the chat because there are quite a lot of misconceptions. It's an article that I found the other day. Basically, there's this article I found, and it says that as automation becomes more sophisticated, all sectors of the current labor force are in danger of displacement. Now, the author of this article introduces the concept of a workless world, basically, in which millions will be permanently displaced from the economic labor process due to the entire segments of the labor force being shrunk due to automation, or restructured or eliminated. Now, the author provides a summary of the current technological revolution and describes how labor-saving mechanisms initially created to increase productivity and create leisure time have instead contributed to a reduction of wages, a reduction of jobs, and a threatening of livelihoods. Now, that is very alarmist, and you see lots of articles on LinkedIn just like that. Now, I want to mention this article that I'm referencing is from 1995, and it had nothing to do with AI. Technology changes. There will always be huge like generational uplifts and leaps in terms of technology. But while it may reduce some aspects of a job, like I mentioned, the things that are, purely execution driven, admin, basic code, it does create jobs in other directions. For example, when mobiles came out, like when everyone could have a personal computer in their phone, that didn't really take away everyone's job. When like general automation came out, again, that didn't take everyone's job. I am of the firm believer that humanity will thrive and survive as long as you're, like you mentioned, Maria, adaptable and you're open to change and you're actually mindfully pushing forward. I think it's tough because you see all these news articles about companies doing layoffs because of AI. Now, AI has become a scapegoat in terms of layoffs, or it's all about providing shareholder value, right? And making sure your shares go up. Now, don't take things at face value. Make sure you fact check things. Make sure you fact check whether or not the company is maybe they overhired during COVID, or maybe they are, hemorrhaging money on their capex and they're just using AI as a scapegoat for actually taking jobs away. Sometimes it really is about AI taking jobs away. And I won't hide away from that fact. And in that case, I think it's still possible for you to find your place in the world of AI. Because I know a lot of us tie our identity to our work, but we need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of tying our identity to our work or our title. We need to think about what makes us human, what makes us strong in our teams, and what makes us valuable, what can't be automated by a probabilistic engine in AI. And I think that's the main thing you have to think about when replacing jobs. It's not just every job will be gone. Our society is driven on consumerism. We need people to be working to create products for people to consume. So just be mindful and actively keep on top of the AI thing.
Yeah. I was actually with a group of moms that we have, like older 14-year-old girls, who were thinking about what's the future gonna be for the girls, to be different. But on the flip side, we also talk about, like many years ago when internet came out, we were like, oh, is the internet going to replace the jobs? But today it doesn't. Like there will be new jobs that have been created as a result of that. So I mean, personally, I see AI probably not another hype, but let's see what will happen. So we talk a lot about the wins of AI, but from your perspective, what are the most significant or downsides or risks of AI that we should be paying attention to?
The risks and downsides. Okay, sorry, let me just think. I made sure to purposely not bring in an AI generated preparation for this because I wanted to be as human as possible, to be as genuine as possible. So let me think about this. The risks of AI. The risk is it divides us. It's almost political. You and everyone in this meeting room likely live in an echo chamber of corporate and tech environments that are highlighting how pro-AI and how much we should move forward with AI. Now, outside of our little echo chamber, as I mentioned, I'm a dancer. I love art. I love creativity. I understand that the general population is quite anti-AI. I don't believe you should be one or the other. Like I mentioned, I'm a big fan of humanity. I'm a big fan of intellectual property and creativity and human expression, but I'm also an AI enthusiast and an AI realist. I think the risk is falling into one or the other, falling into the doom and gloom that AI is, ruining the world. AI, I'm not going to use AI. AI uses so much water, or AI, is taking away all our jobs, and just falling down a rabbit hole and just falling down the algorithm of social media. This applies to both sides, actually. Once you are stuck in a social media algorithm with a specific perspective, then you become ingrained and you just become, it amplifies that echo chamber. Same with the pro-AI. AI is not the silver bullet. It doesn't solve everything. If you fall down that rabbit hole, you can be exposed to lots of risk. You can be exposed to lots of grifters, a lot of people who want to take advantage, a lot of AI experts, a lot of people that post on LinkedIn about how they made this thing with OpenClaw, how they made this amazing product through Claude Code in one day. What they don't show you is that it's very easy to do 90% of a product, but the last 10% takes majority of the work. So the risk is falling into either of those camps. Now, one risk I want to make sure I flag as well is letting your human judgment start to fade. Be mindful. I've said it like 5 times, sorry. Be mindful when you use AI. Understand what you're trying to use it for. Understand what you're trying to ask it. Understand how you're trying to orchestrate it. Because as you rely more and more, you'll find that your judgment, what makes you sharp, what makes you strategic, ends up, it's a muscle. Like if you don't go to the gym for like 3 months, you'll lose that muscle. So keep thinking when you use AI. Don't just blindly go into a ChatGPT instance and be like, hey, what's this? And then blindly take that output and give it to someone else who's likely done the same. Be very skeptical of everything you receive, because I'm sure it's not these people in this this call, because you're here. You're the fact that you're here is already telling me that you're actively taking the steps to be improving yourselves in terms of AI. I'm talking about the people who put something in AI, take the output and share it to everyone, speaking of it as truth, because AI will also always sound plausibly correct. It's what we call sycophancy, because if they made an AI model that isn't sycophant, then it would just be an AI model that says, no, I'm not going to help you on that. And no one will use that product. So please be mindful, and please keep exercising that muscle that is judgment and strategy, because that is what will make you valuable once everyone else becomes, inundated with using AI to their day-to-day lives.
You brought this up because yesterday when we go through the resume session, we also talk about because the recruiter was saying that because everyone's using AI, sometimes they can, when they look at the resume, they can just see the words that, whatever the punctuation, they can tell that it's AI driven. So, the message or the advice that we give to the group is you can use that as a guide, but you still want to, refine that to make sure that it's your authentic voice, your authentic language that you normally use, and not just blindly follow AI.
Yeah, I'm definitely 100% on board with that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really, 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 really sick and tired of the LinkedIn, what do you call it? The AI generated content right now. It's not this, it's that, but here's the kicker, or but here's the breakthrough, but here's what no one's thinking about. I am very tired of those AI isms, and I really hope, I'm not saying don't use AI for helping create content, but please inject your own voice into it, and please proofread it as well, because LinkedIn is becoming less and less valuable in terms of finding the gold nuggets. It's still valuable. I didn't mean to crap on LinkedIn. It's more about the bad actors on LinkedIn.
Okay, just then you talk a lot about, like the technical things about the AI. So beyond the technical mastery, what kind of soft skills do you think have become more valuable to complement the tech?
Yeah, soft skills is a tough one, because I've built lots of agents. I've built like a lot of different agents, and soft skills are really a difficult one to replicate right now. Like I've built sales agents, I've built analyst agents, I've built like PM agents. Soft skills is a big one for now. For now is the key word. AI is moving at an incredible pace, and AI at its current state is its worst state it will be in, unless there's model collapse, but that's a whole other thing. But in terms of soft skills, reading the room is a big one. Even if you're online, reading the room and understanding what isn't said. And AI can generally ingest a transcript and then post insights. That's a standard AI thing. But reading the room, understanding human body language, understanding what people really mean, understanding exactly what problem they're trying to solve. A lot of people come to you as with a solution already in mind, like, hey, I need a dashboard, or hey, I need AI generated assistant, or hey, I need an AI agent to handle this reporting function. Now, the soft skills I would mention there is really understanding the root cause of problems, really diving deep into stakeholders, mindsets, their problem statements. It's really traditional BA or PM roles. That's why the BAs at our organization have naturally encompassed the AI function. Now, another soft skill, I don't know if this counts as a soft skill, but it's just being perpetually curious about an answer, because curiosity leads to actions, and it also leads to mistakes. And it also leads to just looking for things and being resourceful and just trying to find things from it doesn't have to be from a technical lens. It can be from stakeholders, it can be from different departments. Just being perpetually curious is very important, because AI is very good at executing and very good at pulling closing the loops, and you can amplify that by making sure it's pointed in the right direction.
I agree as well. Like we chat about this. Apart from the hard skills, I think the soft skills, for example, like stakeholder engagement, this is something that AI cannot replace. So we still need to focus on some of the soft skills. So we'll move on to the next question. And I think this is also one of the questions that Ross asked in the chat. what helped you become more AI ready in your own journey? So you were talking about like 1 to 2 years ago, you were not on this, you were not working on AI, but you are actually AI enthusiast. So apart from that, like, what sort of mindsets or habit will you need to recommend for others? And if you were advising a friend to get AI ready, what sort of training or the learning roadmap that people can look for?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I didn't intend to be an AI enthusiast. It was just thrust upon me based on my skill set, and I ended up being the right person for the role. In terms of my journey, it's sink or swim. Like for me, it was be thrown into the deep end and either adapt or, sink. That isn't realistic for a lot of people. You may not be thrust upon your job, but if you are, first I'll address those people that are in current roles and they may be thrust upon like the responsibility for suddenly driving AI initiatives at their work. Again, be perpetually curious, be perpetually skeptical. Be skeptical of every single resource. Now, I'll speak more on a general standpoint in terms of people that aren't a part, like haven't really looked into AI in general. There are two aspects. Do improve your general knowledge of how AI works. Start to understand the key terms that everyone throws around. Start to understand what inference is. Start to understand what tokens are. Start to understand what context windows are, or temperature, or top K. There are plenty of resources out there that really summarize exactly how AI works. And if you understand, at least you don't have to go too deep into it. At least understanding how it works a bit below surface level, it will empower you in your journey to actually using AI. Now, the other side of things is the practical side of things. Don't fall for the hype of the tools. Don't chase tools. Don't ask about which tool should I use for this, or are there any tools that I can use for XYZ. Chasing tools is quite an unproductive thing to do, I would say, because tools change and AI changes so fast and so much has changed from day one. Everyone was using Cursor and you'd find LinkedIn posts all about Cursor, how I made this product on Cursor. And then all of a sudden everyone's on Claude Code and how I made this product on Claude Code. And then we have like things that make you feel like you're progressing in excellent. These are just, I would like to say, wrappers. These are wrappers of models that solve a particular use case. And if you fall in the trap of trying to find the perfect tool for every single use case, then it will be unproductive, in my opinion, because those tools aren't around forever. If you do want to play with tools, I would say focus on the big three. And the big three, in my opinion, are ChatGPT. Everyone knows about ChatGPT. Claude by Anthropic. People are starting to know about Claude because of ChatGPT's bungle with the American defense contracts, and Gemini. These are three key models, and each of them are very different, act very differently, and are very strong in their own regards. Now, when I mentioned before, a whole bunch of like specialist cases, I'm not saying fully stay away from them. You can use them, but try to achieve the same thing in one of the big three, because ChatGPT has Canvas, Claude has artifacts, Gemini has their own, I forgot what it's called, but you can create products purely in these big three. You can start to understand exactly how all the other AI spin-off companies are, calling the AI tokens from AI APIs from GPT, Claude, or Gemini. So practically, what does that mean? Think about something. Sorry, as you can probably tell, I'm probably quite philosophical and like I'm more of a strategic thinker rather than executor. But I want to give you guys some pragmatic and practical advice to actually, do this. In terms of improving with AI, first, get the general knowledge that I mentioned, understand all the key terms. Secondly, think about your life right now. Oh, that sounded too deep. Think about your day-to-day right now. Think about the things that you do regularly. Think about the things that you would like to automate. Maybe maybe you love exercising, or you love running, or you have some hobbies, or maybe you love cooking and you want to try different recipes. Pick a tool, GPT, Claude, Gemini, and start experimenting with how you can augment or amplify those things in your day-to-day life. Because you do it so often in your day-to-day life, you are a subject matter in that. So you will understand exactly when the AI output is incorrect, even though it says it's correct. Like I do all of my running, all of my gym stuff purely on my personal ChatGPT. What you can do, there are a few things. For the ChatGPT users, you can set schedules. So say Every Friday at 2 p.m., I plan to do XYZ. Please run this web search and query all of these bits of information so that you can have a grounded approach with a defensible source of information and suggest actions for that time at 2 p.m. Now, ChatGPT will then ask you, all right, let's set up this automation. You just say yes, and then every 2 p.m. it'll run that prompt. Make sure the prompt is good. Work thoroughly on that prompt. Make it exactly what you want, what you're trying to achieve. And then you'll quickly realize, wow, this is running automatically at 2 p.m. What else can I do this with? That's just automation side of things. So with ChatGPT, you can also make custom GPTs if you're trying to have very specific use cases and you want to share that with your family. And in Claude, it's the same thing. In Claude, start small. Keep your use cases narrow. Actually use it, make mistakes, do it with something that you understand so that you understand how your prompting influenced that mistake. Because one word in your prompt can change the entire outcome of what it provides. And once you've mastered like the generative AI and started using it in your day-to-day, like a muscle I mentioned, it's a muscle that you work on, then you can dive a little bit deeper. If you're comfortable, you can go into Claude Cowork, which is just a graphical user interface of Claude Code. It's basically a user-friendly version of AI-powered coding. So you can say something like, every morning at Monday 9 a.m., read through all of my emails and make sure that I have set out my day correctly, or something like that. Just try to actively use it and avoid all of the hype and avoid all of the doom and gloom. Just have a balanced approach, get your general knowledge in, and just practically use things. Have fun with it as well. Like the other day, I have to lead a team in a hackathon at my current workplace. We spent like a good 30 minutes just making stupid team photos of like, we had one that was like Breaking Bad, but we made it Breaking BA. And it was just so funny. Just have fun with it. Don't think of it too seriously. Introduce it into your day-to-day. I know like I'm being specifically vague, but I don't want to sell a course. I'm not selling here's 10 steps to become ready for the AI wave. It's never that simple. It's always little steps taken over and over and over, and you improve marginally at each step. That's my perspective anyway.
Thank you. I think when I think about that for my life or for the work that I'm doing with this, I feel that I need to automate a lot of stuff, and I just need to learn how to automate some of the stuff. Yeah. I know you kind of covered the last questions that we want to ask about the low-hanging fruit AI tool or habit. Do you have any more things to add?
If you're really serious about wanting to pursue AI roles, rather than just improving your own individual skill sets and judgment. For the individual side, it's everything that we just mentioned, general knowledge and practical use. For the professional side, don't pay $50,000 for like a AI course or a bachelor or master's, because by the time it's finished, the landscape will have changed. But do research on the cloud providers that the organization you work for or organizations that you want to work for use. For example, Azure has their own AI platform that has plugged in ChatGPT. Azure also has Copilot, which also has Copilot Cowork. So start researching on those ones. AWS has Bedrock, and Google actually has a small presence in Australia. Most of our big organizations are either on AWS or Azure, but Google's big in the US. So maybe it comes across in the Australian landscape as well. But again, we're quite slow here in Australia. Like we move quite slowly. We only got rid of like mainframe quite a couple of years ago. Some companies still run on mainframe and whatnot. Some companies are still implementing cloud. But I digress. If you're on the professional side of things and you really want to understand at least the cloud side of things and deploying AI agents through cloud, look up AWS Bedrock, look up Azure and their function, and Google Vertex, I believe it's called. And don't worry too much about going too deep into the machine learning side of things or understanding how models are trained, because that's a really big rabbit hole. And once you've done all the individual and the professional stuff, you can decide whether or not you want to go deeper into that rabbit hole and understand, training and fine tuning and whatnot.
Thank you. Any other insights that you want to share before we move into the Q&A?
Relax. I think everyone, including myself, have a lot of anxiety of what the world will look like in the future. And it's scary, right? Like AI is this new thing and it can change everything about every facet of life, whether it's the entertainment we consume, whether it's the work we do in our day-to-day, whether it's how we interact with humans. We don't want someone like, if I have a coffee with someone or a remote interview with someone, I don't want to have to be like, this person said, hello, how are you? What should I say back to them? And then I say something back, and then the person's like, all right, this person's talking about their job. What should I say back to them? The world will change, and I just want you guys to relax, enjoy the ride, be mindful, don't get stagnant, don't believe you're more valuable than you think just because you can do lots of, technical things. Really, really think about what makes you strong in your team, what in your job makes you strong, what in your personality makes you strong, and really lean into that. Celebrate humanity, but don't dismiss AI entirely. It is definitely going to be a major player. Like I mentioned earlier, it's in its crypto era where there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of people that are trying to pretend they're AI experts. The difference is crypto fizzled. There was no use case. It was a solution trying to find a problem. This is different. AI is different. There are so many different problems that AI can solve. So try not to be too worried and just try your best to keep on top of things, and avoid all the doom and gloom and avoid all of the hype in the news. The news, the news is made for clicks, and the clicks is what makes people feel anxious, or what makes people feel scared, or what makes people feel, hyped that they're going to get rich, So try to avoid the news in terms of AI. If you want to keep up with the news, please make sure you vet your sources, make sure the author is actually, credible. Please make sure that you look at security issues as well. If you're playing with things like OpenClaw, there are so many things that you have to worry about. There's so many like LinkedIn articles about, hey, I made OpenClaw, do this. But things like that, if anyone that didn't know about AI or isn't a technical minded person, they could have opened up their computer or their livelihood to vulnerabilities, because OpenClaw inherently, to be useful, for an AI agent to be useful in your life, you need to provide it with credentials, you need to provide it with access. And giving that to a rogue AI agent can be very damaging. You could get your details stolen, you could get your bank account compromised, you could get your personal identification stolen. So be very careful with what kind of projects you see on LinkedIn and try to pursue. Always be skeptical, always be curious, but it's going to be okay. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Oh, good. Good advice. Good advice. We are going to move into Q&A. I know I still want to touch on Ross' questions, because Ross asked about how to begin the AI journey, but he's also mentioned about some of he saw a lot of the media ads that talk about, like the social media ads that talk about 28-day challenge and AI certification, which appear very cheap and superficial. Do you have any thoughts on that?
There are some good courses that you can take with AI, as long as they don't take a long time. Because like I mentioned before, if it takes a long time, the information will lapse by the time you finish it. But there are some generally good courses. Anthropic has one called AI Fluency. If you go on Coursera, I'm sure there are a few that like 1-month courses that go on the basics of AI. There's a large community as well. Like, the best way is also to attend networking events. There's a whole bunch of AI. AI is like a really tight-knit community. Everyone knows everyone. So if you attend networking events, pitch ideas, like listen to people's ideas, even if you're not a founder, a lot of these AI networking events are for founders. Even if you're not a founder, it's great to pick their brains, and they'll appreciate it too, because founders want to understand what current corporate workers are facing. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of courses out there that you can do that will add to it. Like I mentioned, like AWS Bedrock courses, Anthropic's courses. Anthropic, I believe, just released quite a few courses. I'm quite a big fan of Anthropic in terms of the way they approach AI security and safety, in terms of how they teach about AI. Even their YouTube channel has they created this YouTube video about sycophancy, which is very, very compelling. So definitely look into the major players: Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, and then just be skeptical of everything else. But anything that they provide will also help you on your journey. There'll be lots of courses and certifications.
Yeah, I'm glad that you touched on Anthropic, because the other day I did see on LinkedIn, few people posted it because they just released the free courses. So I've saved it. I put a link in the chat already. So I've saved it in our school community. All the links that you can. There is one that's about AI fluency. So so good to get on board on that. Maybe start with that if anyone hasn't started any AI journey.
I'd like to answer this question, if you don't mind, Maria, because it's quite it's one that I'm quite passionate about.
Yep.
Adrian Navarez asked, on a philosophical or rather existential note, out of curiosity, how do you make peace with the downsides of AI, for example, environmental aspects? That's one I struggle with in terms of environmental aspects. Now, it's true, AI does take a lot of resources, and it does take a lot of compute, it does take a lot to cool, but so does everything else. So does anything else that requires data centers. Now, here's my maybe slightly unhinged takeaway from this. Compute, environmental factors have always taken the back seat in the past, decades, past 2 decades. We never really spend much time thinking about how to generate, clean energy and whatnot. Now, if all the billionaires really love AI, really want to push AI, and the bottleneck is compute, is energy resources, we suddenly have powerful individuals that are trying to solve the problem of energy generation, because if they don't, their product fails and they wasted billions of dollars on it. So that's my silver lining, that because AI takes so much compute, we finally have a reason for bigger figures to actually work on green sources of energy.
Ken asks, can you share some of the AI networking events that you currently attend?
I myself don't attend them, but I know my partner in crime in my team attends a lot of them. But basically, if you go to a website called lou.ma, I believe, and then you can look at the events that are available. And you can look at events that are available, lots of founders and whatnot. But also, this is what LinkedIn is really good for. Scour the people that are involved in AI. Lots of people love doing talks like this. Lots of people love doing presentations like this as well, or networking events like this. Keep an eye out. There are lots of lovely people like Maria who are trying to push communities and push growth. And a lot of people are AI focused as well. And also, there are also events from specific companies like Notion or Heidi. The big players, like Heidi is a big player in the Australian AI space. I suggest you check them out. They're a good company. They host events. Look at lots of different companies as to where they host events. And in terms of community-driven events, look at that Luma website. And also there's Annie Liao. She's an Australian who moved to San Francisco. She created this club called Build Club, and Build Club has presence in each state. So yeah, check out some Build Club events as well.
Oh, thank you. We have about 3 minutes left. Did I answer? So, Eldrin, you have another question. Do you want to talk it up in the chat?
Is there any ethical humanities approach lens perspectives to AI?
Hello,
Is that the one
sorry. I'm on besides from that as well, because I'm a very big fan as well with the human factor, which is why I resonate well with what Jarek is saying. So my take is more on the lens or perspectives regarding on the ethical approach on or safety protocols that we need to be aware of regarding AI usage. I think it's a very interesting topic, besides from obviously we're talking about careers and pathways and how AI affects it. But yeah, I'm just curious on a bigger, broader side of things, like say the mesosystem of things. What's the take on that?
AI at the end of the day is a tool, right? So if you think about the internet in and of itself, it's powerful. When the internet was introduced, it's very powerful, and it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. Just because this is a new piece of technology, a lot of people, again, like to fall into the band of this is bad or this is good. Every tool, every bit of power you give technology, every bit of power you give people, there will always be good actors and bad actors. Now, in terms of AI, the problem is it's very powerful, and it amplifies, good actors and it amplifies bad actors. We just have to hope that there are more people like us that are the good actors. In terms of safety and ethics, it goes without saying, don't use AI to generate images of other people to make fun of them. Don't use AI to make up points in your presentation that you never even thought of. I think a big thing is, because we are all in this room and we're all wanting to learn about AI, it's a big responsibility for all of us, each and every one of us, and any other person that you come across, to teach and spread the word. I'm sounding a little culty. To teach and teach others about AI, because there are vulnerable people in society. There are the elderly. There are people that aren't technically literate. It's our job to explain to them hey, just because I called you on the phone and it sounded exactly like me, it's not me. It could be an AI agent trained on my voice. Or, hey, just because you saw this on the news, it could be a fake news site, doesn't mean it's true. It's our responsibility to be good actors and really spread the AI fluency and the AI literacy to everyone we can, because that's all we can do, right? AI will continue to move forward, and all we can do is make the most of it and be on the side of good actors to hopefully overwhelm the side of the bad actors.
That is such a great advice, because we have seen news about people leveraging AI to scam and all that, and then a lot of victims fall into that. Even among the family, we talk about, if someone is going to call you on this and say that they need money, demand money, we need to have a special code to test that you are the right person. Yeah, it's very, very daunting when you see some of those scams happening. Maybe one last question from Rafael on the topic of generative AI in the creative field. Do you know of any businesses that have taken the successfully used assets as training rather than relying on other people's work?
There's a few different facets to this. So when you are training a model, it requires thousands of data centers of compute. So we generally don't train models from scratch. We generally don't train frontier models from scratch, because that's what OpenAI, Anthropic, that's what they spend billions on, right? That's why they need all those data centers, because they're the ones training the frontier models. We just use those models and fine tune them. Or we make small language models, which are very, very particular use case. Those we can train, those we can run locally in our data centers. So that's just the point on training. But in terms of successfully using your own IP, that can be done. But inherently, AI is, like I mentioned, it's consumed every bit of data as training. So it provides the skills of a director, the skills of a designer. Everything that it can be trained on is inherently encompassed inside that model. How you successfully use your own IP and assets depends on how you orchestrate it and how you prompt it. Think about art in general. Art always takes inspiration. The inspiration can be from previous artist styles. It can be internal, it can be inherent. That inspiration now is amplified, and every single person's inspiration that has been written down on paper is now ingested into that model. It's the user's role and responsibility to use it as inspiration to then create assets that use their own creative thinking and their own creative process.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Jericho. Thank you so much for sharing all this AI and turn all the AI mystery into some practical toolkit that people can take from today. It's a lot to take in, but I also want to do a special shout out to Wani, who has been, crazily writing down notes and putting the notes in the chat. Definitely it's not AI. I think it's all her hard work, putting all the information in the chat. So special thank you for that. So, all of us hear from Jericho about being AI ready. Don't be scared about the future. Also, just be prepared. Also, he talks a lot about the human side of things. So really want to kind of balance both sides of the things, because at the end of the day, we deal with human day to day. So yesterday, we talk about the resume. We say, even though you can use AI to prepare, but at the end of the day, it's still human that will be making the decision. And this morning, if you haven't checked out school yet, Louisa actually posted a post on LinkedIn that people talk about in our AI and resume. So encourage you to read that. All right. Thank you, Jericho. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say thank you before we move into the next one. So thank you for having me, everyone. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If you guys just DM me or tag me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn, or even reach out to Maria, I'm more than happy to answer any questions, because as I mentioned before, we're all scared, we're all kind of anxious, and it's nice to have a soundboard. I may not be able to solve all your problems or get to it straight away, but I'll do my best to answer any sort of questions that you have about AI or even life. But thank you so much for having me, Maria.
Thank you. Given that AI is happening so fast, we might want to invite you back again to talk about your next evolution of AI. All right. Thank you.